Guizhua's landscape is defined by its extreme topography, a continuous series of dense, steep karst formations and deep river valleys. Cutting through this terrain is the Huajiang Grand Canyon. The land splits wide open, leaving a massive, sheer drop down to the water below. To connect the region, engineers had to figure out how to lay a flat, stable road directly across this massive gap. At 625 meters above the water, you could slide a 200-story building into the canyon, easily clearing the deck. Above that building, the horizontal span crosses 1,420 meters of open air between the cliff faces. Maxing out the vertical height and horizontal length pushes this construction well past normal parameters, into an extreme category of engineering. Up at that elevation, standard lifting operations fail. You cannot simply park a crane on the ground and hoist materials up. The first major obstacle is the air itself. High-altitude mountain passes funnel high-speed, unpredictable wind currents directly through the canyon. Add to that rapid temperature fluctuations causing steel to expand and contract, and the constant pull of gravity. When dealing with hundreds of tons of hanging material, those forces cause the steel to constantly shift and sway. To lock these massive pieces together under those exact physical conditions, the engineering teams had to operate with an absolute zero margin of error. The build began completely from scratch at the absolute edges of the rock, moving out from the cliff faces on both sides simultaneously. The deck was pushed out incrementally, extending section by section over the water, suspended entirely by the heavy anchor towers behind them. Every new addition required transporting massive sections of structural steel out to the very edge of the newly built road. In this diagram of cantilever tension, suspension cables redirect the heavy load of the overhanging steel backward, keeping the outward sections from collapsing. As the structure reaches further toward the center, lateral sway intensifies, compounding environmental forces with every added meter. Moving at this slow, highly calculated pace was the only mathematical way to safely cross the distance. Eventually, those two independent halves approached the dead center of the valley. With thousands of tons of steel swaying on either side, the required alignment became impossibly tight. The final girder was lowered directly into the remaining gap, sliding exactly into place and securely locking the two sides together. At that exact second of connection, the open air between the cliffs ceased to be an obstacle and became a solid, continuous road. Once complete, traffic began flowing across the gorge. But the structure was designed with a secondary function, engineered to offer a highly specific daytime experience for visitors. Water is pumped up and poured directly through the side of the bridge, creating a massive artificial waterfall plummeting 625 meters down into the canyon. As the water catches the high-altitude wind and sunlight, it vaporizes, generating a dense mist that wraps around the entire structure. From a distance, this creates an optical illusion, where the mass of steel and concrete appears detached from the ground, floating steadily among the clouds. When the sun sets, the canyon goes through a second distinct transformation. A coordinated lighting system illuminates the span, highlighting the suspension cables and tracing the exact outline of the deck against the darkness of the valley. The light hits the lingering mist and reflects off the surrounding rock faces, creating a continuous visual loop between the engineered steel and the natural stone. The Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge serves as a concentrated physical display of China's current limits in high-altitude construction. It stands by adapting directly to the severe conditions of the gorge, existing as both an essential transit route and a permanent architectural fixture over the canyon.
If you enjoyed this deep dive into the impossible and want to discover more incredible engineering marvels, mega projects, and construction achievements from around the world, make sure to subscribe to Built by Engineering. We'll be bringing you many more visually stunning stories of human ingenuity and engineering excellence. Until next time, keep marveling at what we can build.